Hello and welcome to Beulah Land and Livestock. As I was compiling the clips for this video, I realized that we didn't really have a good intro for it. So let me tell you about what you're about to see. When we started to consider this new alternative lifestyle, living off grid and producing so much of our own things, something that we thought a lot about was how are we going to bake bread? Baking bread is very important to us. I struggle with store-bought bread. Makes me feel queer, and so baking our own bread, baking our meals is extremely important to us. So we went on to YouTube University and did some research, and we came across a video tutorial by the Townsends about making a cob oven. Well, it looked doable, so we thought we would give it a go. We researched fire bricks and found them to be wildly expensive, and so here you will see our attempts at creating and using our cob oven. As I said earlier, fire bricks being so wildly expensive, Spencer built a base for the oven out of a clay mixture. He did his research and decided that the clay would diffuse the heat enough to keep the table from burning up. So he built it. He made a mixture of mud, clay mud, and sand and heavy aggregate, and built up in layers this level place to build the fire on. He also used just a regular brick as the door sill to kind of help him figure out how level it needed to be. Alright, so what are you doing?
I am filling in holes and smoothing out a little bit of this sandcastle that I'm building to go in the middle of the cob oven.
And tell me about the wood that's sticking out the front of it.
Well, you see, we got home with all the sand and we thought we had a lot of sand until I started putting sand in the cob mix. I realized that we didn't have nearly enough sand.
So it's filler.
So I improvised. And I filled some of the space with some wood.
And that will just be dug out, because what we're looking at is the negative space of the inside of the cob oven. And the doorway to the roof needs to be 62 to 63%.
62 to 64%.
Okay.
Height of the ceiling. Right. Of the inside of the oven.
Right. Is that what we've got here, or?
Oh, what we've got here. I haven't gotten to the doorway yet though, and I'm going to double check on my measurement before I say I'm done.
Okay.
Trickier to do.
Why is this part trickier to do, Fiddly?
Because I have to make this so to support that I don't build up in space.
Because again, we're being stingy.
Google?
Stingy.
Let's see if it's
One sounds better. It's already ready. Just back up so that you can see. And then ask me what I'm doing.
What are you doing?
I am putting this wet paper on the sandcastle to keep it moist. Hey, you didn't catch anything of that. Is there anything you want to say about it?
You gotta squish it down to make sure you're breaking up the clumps. I'm gonna let it dry a little bit, or mix in the moisture a little while, and then mix it in some more.
Are you gonna stomp it?
Most likely, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think the clumps are gonna break up enough just soaking up moisture. So
Mm-mm.
I think that's about where it needs to be.
Good? I think it's pretty good. I think it would hurt from a little bit more straw. So we used up all of the clay cob stuff that was in this half a IBC tote, and that was walked all up and stuck it on the oven.
So we're gonna do 2 layers on this one.
Which is why you poke the full holes.
Yep. Well, I did that so that the wind would not do it, so it doesn't stick back so much.
So we did it in 2 batches. We walked it all up in 2 batches, and that's what it looks like. The next step was to employ some warming fires, as Townsends calls them. Spencer lit small fires inside the cob oven and let it cook. It made a spectacular show at night. This also allowed him to see where the wet spots or the thin spots still were.
So I am moistening the outer edge of I want it to bind to the wet mud. I'll have to go in stages because it sends out and it's pretty flowy.
And then catch us up to speed with what's been done, because the last that was videoed was some of putting the first layer of cob on.
Okay, so we finished the first layer. We put the first layer on, we let it sit overnight. We put the top over it during a rainstorm. And we pulled out all the sand and the wood and stuff and started a fire in there and baked the inside. The inside looks red now, kind of like a red brick. Also kind of like the edge of the fire pit over there does from burning. And now what we want to do is we want to go back. The walls aren't quite as thick as we want, so we want to put more on there so it insulates it, holds that heat longer, holds that heat better, and has a smoother finish so that we can go through and glaze it afterwards.
And I know that when we were using the warming fires, inside it there was smoke coming out.
A lot of smoke.
Through the walls.
Through the walls, yep. Yep, there were some cracks. We took and patched some cracks in a couple of spots that were larger, so we stuffed them. You can still see one on the front here that we left. I'm going to be stuffing it with what goes on today, right through here. There's a crack. It comes up about to here. But we're going to finish that and smooth off the front here so we can put a door on it. And put the rest of the mud on it. A picture with a fire going in it.
Oh, good.
It's in the middle of the night though, so all you see is fire. I'm looking for another glove.
But the walls must feel decently sturdy.
Oh yeah, the walls are very sturdy. It's all baked like a brick.
On the inside.
On the inside, it goes through pretty thick that way actually.
Okay.
So it's not like it's structurally got issues. I mean, it's solid, and that spot's only 2.5, 3 inches thick. Thinner spot, so.
Okay, say that part again.
This is where I try to make things more symmetrical and even things out and smooth things over. All that fun stuff.
Make it look good.
Yep.
I will say it is kind of an awesome, as in awe-inspiring and slightly frightening sight to watch you come up with a glomp of mud and just thump it on there. Because it looks like it should break it when you do that.
Like that?
Yeah. And then you knead it on there, push it together. And like, it's gonna break.
But it's not.
It's not. It's amazing.
Made for it.
And then I hear the table creak. I'm like,
If you wanted to go through and spray this whole thing,
okay.
You'd probably have to fill up the water bottle several times.
Okay. Would you like me to do that right now?
I don't think that would be convenient for you, would it?
Well, it's not about what's convenient, it's about what's right.
It'll help bind things, but I don't need it bound so thoroughly necessarily on the top.
Okay. Because gravity will be our binding factor there. To some degree.
Well, that, and I'm making it nice and thick. It's on the sides, though, that I'm going to worry about.
Yeah.
Do some more to it.
Start over?
So we'll let that sit for a minute, and then we'll come back and trowel it and smooth it over and start to give it a finish. I'm going to start doing that. I've patted down all of the roughness to it. And it's starting to dry fast enough. It's cracking in some places.
There's a hole right there.
So it's gonna get these little cracks all over. And I'm just gonna kind of try and watch it and minimize how they present themselves. I wanna try and pat it together. It's drying on the outside faster than the inside. And so patting them down in will collapse those crevices, make them smaller. And then something I'm trying, I'm curious about, on this side, as it started to do it, I rubbed in some sand. And I'll probably do that a couple times as it does that. And I want to see what that does, how it treats it, because I'm going to put a final glazing coat on it later. So I imagine it'll seal that up. But shouldn't have to deal with all the cracks.
Update time.
Alright, so if you want to come look over here, you can see the cracks. What I'm doing is I'm going through and I'm patting it to help, because these cracks were about twice this big a minute ago. But the outside is cooling faster than the center. And so what I can do is I can pat it down, and it's going to squish the soft, moist stuff up. And it's going to squish the cracking dried bits down in. And it's going to help things dry more evenly, and it's going to help those cracks seal back up. Maybe not on the very edge, but that can be run over again with a thin coat, and will be. But we don't want those cracks to persist down into the center and leak. See, that one's pretty well filled in. Look.
This one here?
Yeah. See, it doesn't gape like this one clean down in it.
Oh, yeah, I see. Oh my. So it's like an earthquake, and then the molten magma underneath the plate crests are bubbling. So I guess that'd be a volcano, not an earthquake.
Yeah.
Well, now we know how earthquakes happen, or volcanoes happen.
Sort of. Have a lot more to do with friction and actual molten, not just wet. Although, I don't know, Mount St. Helens had to do with steam, so